Hello, and welcome to another weekly reading. I have the serpent with some frankincense here, I have some lavender oil, and I have an angel, which for me is very indicative of trying to find balance and listening to the heart and gut brain. And we are going into the Libra full moon this week. This is the end point of eclipse season because it is the first lunation after the last eclipse. So it is closing off a really big and intense transformational portal that we've been in, with endings and beginnings being a very primary theme, which, as we know, is within this year a big theme as well. So then that makes it even more sort of compounded in the eclipse cycles this year. We also have Mercury stationing direct today, and within the next 10 days we'll be leaving Pisces again, which is going to be back into Aries and gaining momentum at that point. And is it 10 days? I might be wrong with that. Anyway, I think in the copy of this post, I think I have put the dates. Also, I just wanted to point out we will still have Venus retrograde. We are still in Mercury's post shadow, and we are still in Mars's post shadow, and Mars and Mercury will end their post shadows at a similar time, and Venus will be a little bit behind that. Venus today is conjunct Saturn, not for the first time because she's moving backwards, so she's conjuncting Saturn again. Normally she would only do a conjunction with Saturn once a year, but in this retrograde process it's going to mean that she conjuncts Saturn 3 times, and this is the second of those. So if we think about how Venus is about love and values and making things more beautiful and harmonious, and Saturn is about putting in the effort, mastering things, hard work and dedication, boundaries, structure, you can see that it is an opportunity. And Venus in her retrograde, so reflecting on maybe where she hasn't always gotten things right, where maybe her values weren't always aligned with her actions, for example. This is a good opportunity for us to reevaluate that. And obviously when I say she or he, it's because I'm referring to the essence of being more yin or more yang within those planets. It's not really about gender. So it doesn't matter if you are a she or a he or any of those ways of identifying ourselves. This is true for all of us. Pick a card between 1 and 4 and let's dive in. And I know I'm a positive spin kind of girl, but I think that there is some serious cautioning and warning for us in these cards this week. And as positive as we can take things, and as much as I do believe that a lot of challenging experiences are actually what transform us for the better, it is definitely something that we need to pay attention to this week. The Eight of Pentacles in protection. Oh, and I just want to point out, we got a King of Cups last week, but he was the right way up. We've got reverse Queen of Cups this week. The Eight of Pentacles for me is like Saturn's apprentice in some ways. We can say that the Eight of Pentacles is desperately trying to master the craft. Let me turn this card around so you can see, she's got all the elements in this card: fire, earth, air, and water. She is kind of thoughtful, she's learning, she's thinking about things, she's taking her time. Look at the moon cycles. I mean, there's continual cycles of energy that happen. You can see a lot of energy around her head that's radiating out as she studies, as she practices, as she learns. There's a sacredness in this card of sacred ritual and practice and effort put in over time, which is reminding me of Saturn. And she's very beautiful and elegant. And so that links into like Venus and Saturn working together today particularly. And as Venus is retrograde and she is looking backwards, I'm just loving that reflection. She's looking back on all she's learned so far. She's got that spark of the firelight in front of her. Perhaps she's even gazing into the flame as she reflects. And it's like, what are the things that I thought were so important that I have not put in the correct amount of effort into? So we start the week. Of course, this is upside down. So it's not in this format where she's looking backwards and she's in her most graceful. She, in fact, is
confused. She's trying to rush ahead. She's trying to look forward when she needs to be looking backwards. So if we can turn this card around at its most positive form, it's perfect for Saturn-Venus conjunction. Unfortunately, we haven't drawn it that way, which is saying, are you doing the work? Are you taking accountability? Are you doing your sacred rituals? And it doesn't matter if your sacred ritual is brushing your teeth and gazing into your own eyes in the mirror and telling yourself you've got this every morning. It doesn't matter if it's more evolved practices or involved practices than that. The fact is that there needs to be some kind of ritual and routine that is bringing you forward in a Saturnian way that aligns with your values. So for me, it means we definitely, very definitely could be procrastinating, trying to rush things that actually are slower processes that take time and effort. And we're trying to shortcut and we're not being accountable. There's a lot in this reading saying, where are you not being accountable, as far as I feel into this reading. A lot of it is saying, are you owning your own shit? Are you being accountable? And the Eight of Pens, starting the beginning of the reading here, upside down, is kind of showing how we would really prefer to take the shortcuts, because the things that more than likely, especially as we step into the Queen in reverse, the things that we are avoiding are those nitty-gritty, are where the depth of the lesson sort of drops in. It's the things that we don't want to look at. It's the things that make us uncomfortable. It's the uncomfortable conversations. I want to remind you that the Libra full moon this week is a full moon all about relationship. Libra is the sign of relationship, fairness, justice, balance. So, I mean, this card, you can see if she's upright, there's this level of tuning in. She doesn't have her eyes open. She's tuning in with her eyes closed. She's kind of in meditation. She has this level of openness through her hands. Look at the energy through her hands. And her heart is open and her cup is being filled and she is trusting. She's in fact sitting on a throne that is mostly submerged under the water. So she's literally using the water as a conduit. But of course, cups turned upside down, if there's anything in them, will be emptied. So she's struggling to trust her intuition and to follow through with what she knows she needs to be tuning into. Again, lack of emotional accountability, lack of that having the uncomfortable conversations, getting a little bit swirly and delusional, and either because Libra is so strongly connected to both and not just you or me, it's both of us, and it's also me. So I can't be in relationship with you unless I am clear on who I am. So water doesn't have the best boundaries. So here, perhaps you're the person in a relationship right now that doesn't have sufficient boundaries to recognize yourself as an individual within the relationship. Or perhaps you're the person in the relationship who is not respecting somebody else's boundaries. Either way, there are many different ways that this can show up, but there is an avoidance of being authentic within the relationship emotionally. There are tough emotions that are being ignored. There are things you're trying to empty out of the cup without fully drinking and understanding. And again, there's that level of accountability, because at her best, she is this emotionally intuitive conduit, an emotionally intelligent conduit. And right now, she's not able to tap into that because she's getting stuck in some kind of, like, she'd rather just drink the wine and numb the feelings and pretend everything's okay, because with her rose tinted glasses or her beer goggles or her wine goggles or whatever, she can tell herself, she can justify to herself all the things that she wants to justify to herself. But if she drank the clear crystal waters and she felt into what they were telling her, she would recognize where she'd gone wrong and how she could repair. And so repairing relationships feels quite important this week as well. And then because this overwhelming thing might lead us to excess in the wrong places to avoid the feelings, because of course feelings can be really uncomfortable and we all find ways to numb out, from binge watching to drinking to whatever it is for you. I'm not going to go on an exhaustive list. You all know how many ways we can numb out. And at this point, you probably know very well exactly the ways you tend to choose. So look at those things remember, we're evaluating. So Venus retrograde in Pisces, of all signs as well. Pisces can be a very addictive with Saturn there. And you're saying, okay, I mean, this is a very Piscean energy in some ways, very watery. So you can see Venus going, I don't want to look at this. She's retrograde. She's been reflective. She's like, this is hurting my heart. This is upsetting me. This is showing me how I should have, could have, would have. And now I get to choose if I change that, if I go and own up to where I feel I went wrong, or if I don't. And in the meantime, she's overwhelmed with how she's feeling. She's overwhelmed with where she's gone wrong. And the option to numb out is very, very high. But actually, the work is through doing it. But then, kind of, you could see this as burning the candle at both ends, because if we sleep, we might dream and see the things we don't want to see, because our unconscious is desperately trying to force us into sorting that. And so maybe we don't sleep properly. Maybe we work too hard and we burn the candle at both ends using whatever our numbing out tools are. And then there is a very, very strong kind of tendency to burn out here. That's what really worries me here at the end with the 2 swords cards, 10 of swords and 4 of swords in protection. And as I often say with the 10 of swords, the traditional version of this card is a man on his belly with 10 swords in his back. So here it's like making, in some ways, I mean, it's in reverse. In some ways, it's again deception and making all the excuses of how you got there, you know, going into the victim mindset. Remember that swords is mind, swords is mental, it's air. So going into a real victim mindset and again justifying, like, I did everything right. I don't know why I got stabbed in the back 10 times, you know. So again, if this card was upright, it would be looking to the future, moving forward with acceptance of this is what's happened, and these are the things that have been killed in me. Because if you think about 10 swords in the back, clearly the person is lying there dead. What parts have been killed off? And then this speaks to the level of acceptance of the versions of me that had to die, or the parts of me that had to die. And I'm talking about death, metaphorically, of course. And the symbol behind every death is a rebirth. So they're inextricable. Birth and death, they're inextricable. So in this card upside down, it's like, I don't want to let those parts die. I want to keep harping on about it. I want to keep living in this victim consciousness. I want to keep feeling the victim or the martyr in my own head. And those are the parts of the story that I'm refusing to let go of until I am utterly shattered and depleted. And I haven't, so you see, with these 2, for me, in fact, maybe all 3 of these, to be honest, there's the earth, the water, the air. I'm going to try to take all the shortcuts, even though I needed to work slow and steady. I'm going to avoid all my feelings and intuitions by numbing the pain. I'm going to get stuck in all the stories I can tell myself that make me keep that pain out on a mental level. So here's a mental and emotional, trying to avoid the process. And the 4 of swords is literally a burnout card of, I am depleted, I have nothing left. And rest in your nest with, to give your mind and your heart time to heal would be the ideal. Oh, poetry, rhyming. But actually, we've got this upside down. And so it's like we're just pushing through. We're just continuing to push. We're continuing to push whatever it is that's numbing us out, whatever stories we can keep telling ourselves to live in this level of denial and deception. And to be honest, it feels like we, at this week, we may well be our worst enemy. So I'm not saying there's not external sources that are going to show you, because of course Libra full moon is saying the external sources want to show you exactly through reflections in relationships with others where it is that you are living in your bubble in a way that is no longer serving you. But I feel like the big reflections have to come from the inside, and the big shifts have to come from the inside. Where am I deceiving myself? Where am I refusing to change? Where am I living in victim consciousness? Where am I not taking accountability? Because in order for me, can you hear all these I, me, mine words? That's the opposite sign of Aries, where we had our last eclipse. If I am not clear who I am, what I need, where I have gone wrong, then I cannot be in a healthy we. I cannot be in healthy relationship with you if I don't know who I am. And so this is a big opportunity this week. And if we do it well, we are going to be uncomfortable. We are not going to love it, because we're looking at the parts of us that we'd rather not look at, and we all have them. So, good luck. Good luck. I feel like it's going to be an uncomfortable week. But hey, growth happens. What's that lovely saying that I love? There's no growth in the comfort zone, and there's no comfort in the growth zone. So get uncomfortable and get growing this week. And if you are interested in any extra help, personalized readings, please do get in touch with me. And thank you very much for your likes, shares, comments, and subscribes. Have a beautiful week in the discomfort. That means you are growing.